Good morning. My name is Suzanne Todd. I am the current president-elect of the Global Academy, and I am delighted to be joined in my morning and her evening by Jackie Leong, who is a former global president of the Academy. So, Jackie, thank you so much for joining us today. Before
Pleasure.
talking about your role in the Academy, could you just give everybody who's listening to this a brief resume of your career and what life as a lawyer has been like, please?
Oh, yeah, I was born in Sydney. I'm one of the what they like to call baby boomers. I was educated in Hong Kong, Sydney, and London. I was called to the English bar in 1970. And I've practiced mostly in Hong Kong, although I have been for several decades a door tenant at One Mitre Court and now Hare Court.
Oh,
So
fantastic. I
that,
didn't know that.
yeah. So that's the sort of general background.
Brilliant. And tell us about some of the career highlights along the way.
Um, I came to the bar at a time when there had been no women at the Hong Kong bar who had actually practiced in a serious sort of way. There had been qualified barristers for quite a number of
Hmm.
years,
Hmm.
but for whatever reason, they had never practiced. And so I was the first one to make it a full-time career and actually make a success of it as a career. So,
So you literally smashed the glass ceiling. That's
so
amazing.
it was just, being in the time and that's all.
Yeah.
But as a result, there were a lot of firsts. But it was, I think, a time of transition because Asia is, or certainly was at that time, quite a male-dominated society. And so women, there were had been for decades many women solicitors, but
Hmm.
none at the bar. And so when I came along, there were a number of firsts. I was the first woman silk in Hong Kong. I was the first one to sit on the High Court bench, first as a what they used to call a deputy, and later as a recorder.
Hmm.
I was the first woman chairman of the Hong Kong Bar.
Brilliant.
And indeed the first woman chairman in the British Commonwealth. So
Fantastic.
because and even the UK, I think Heather Hallett didn't come along until about 6 or 8 years later. I
Right.
was chairman from 1992 to 94.
Hmm.
Um, and I am still the only woman to have been made a life member of the Hong Kong Bar, and in fact the only surviving one. They're all dead. I'm the
I
last
know. I get.
alive.
I'm good friends with the last surviving female solicitor who's just turned 96 in
Right.
England.
Right. Well, there've been 15 before me, over the 75 years of the Hong Kong bar's history. So
Yeah.
yeah, I am the only one still standing.
Brilliant. Well, long may that continue.
So that I think is, basically the sort of career
Brilliant.
background.
Fantastic. Would you have a couple of top tips for young lawyers today?
I think really don't take yourself too seriously. Enjoy your practice, but don't let it take over your life. I think get a life is sometimes the expression that's used. But I think also it's important for young people to broaden their horizons, broaden them beyond their immediate jurisdiction, try to be more international in
Hmm.
nature, and not be too inward looking, because I think there is a tendency when one is young to sort of navel gaze professionally, if I can use that term.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
they do need to look further out. And also, today's world offers so many opportunities and so many different new fields for people to be looking at things even like AI and crypto. All this impacts on family law in so many ways. And,
Exactly.
and these are the sort of things that I think that young people should be looking at, not necessarily in terms of their day-to-day practice, but in terms of looking outside at the wider world, as it were, and absorbing it and bringing it into practice.
Yes. Yes. I was told as when I was at law school that we should always read the Financial Times on a Saturday. because of all of that sort of the world knowledge and the commercial knowledge and the business knowledge, encapsulated in one place. Because we as family, we don't just do family law. We have to know
Yes,
a bit of everything and know when
that's
to,
right.
raise the red flags to get other advice. Is there any advice you would give to your younger self now when you're looking back?
Um, I suppose, well, again, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't let practice take over your life.
Mm,
Um, you know, don't be too specialized. I think too early is also a good thing because, the old definition about an expert being somebody who knows more and more about less and less. And I think if
yeah.
you push yourself into that corner too early, and there is a tendency, I think, for even in big firms like your own, with
Yes.
very specialized departments, for people to get pushed into that corner and stay
Yes.
there quite happily, and then they get comfortable and don't push themselves outside their comfort zone.
No, I completely agree with that because the way that we've got the now instead of the Law Society finals here, the legal practice course, we've now got an SQE, the super qualifying examination. And it means you can, instead of when I trained, you had to do some contentious and non-contentious work in different departments. Whereas now, for example, you could be a paralegal in family and not go to business, private client, litigation. And that counts as your sort of qualifying experience towards being
Mm.
a lawyer. And it'll be interesting to see the long-term impact on that and people's roundedness as a lawyer.
Yes.
So it
Yeah, I
will,
think that's important, and also to find ways to get themselves outside their immediate jurisdiction as well, try and
yeah,
internationalize themselves. The
yeah,
opportunities don't necessarily come. Sometimes you have to push a bit and do it of your own volition, go off and join international organizations which offer different perspectives, and those sort of things are also important. If you join big organizations, for example, it tends to push you outside your
yes,
comfort zone and open a lot of different areas to you, which you might never even have thought of.
no,
But
exactly.
which brings, it comes not only into your own area of practice, but opens other areas of interest as well. I think that's very important. I do believe in people being broad-based and open to new ideas.
Yes. No, that makes perfect sense. Just to touch on something you mentioned a little while ago in terms of this work-life balance and commitments. Do you have any top tips for anyone on as to how to try to achieve the unicorn?
I suppose that's what everybody wants to achieve. I never did.
If we could bottle it, we'd all make a fortune, wouldn't
Yeah,
we?
wouldn't we? Wouldn't we? I never succeeded in doing it, but I think you just have to push yourself to do it. One of the things that happened to me quite early was that I'd been in silk for less than 2 years when I became chairman of the bar, and that forced me out of my comfort zone because I would not normally have gone off and gone to a lot of international meetings and things of that sort, but I had to do this by
Mm,
reason of the office and that pushed me into a lot of different fields, and particularly urged me into organizations like the IBA, the International Bar Association, which is the largest organization of lawyers in the world, and
yeah,
which covers a huge scope. And so for that sort of thing, I became involved and then gradually moved along and became involved in the what operated as a sort of cabinet of the IBA quite early on, just by
yeah.
chance. And all these things opened many doors and opened
Doors.
different perspectives, even be long before I became involved with the academy.
Yeah. Well, that segues very nicely into my next question. How did you first become involved with the IAFL?
Uh, that was due to Peter Singer, the late Peter Singer.
Ah, okay.
Who came out to Hong Kong to do a case, actually his only case that he ever did in Hong Kong. And I was on the other side.
Hmm.
And he urged a number of us who were involved in the case to into the academy. Apart from myself, there was BB Chu, whom you
Hmm.
well, the late David Glynn, Robin
Yeah.
Edgerton, who still goes to meetings from time to time. We were all involved in that case.
Yeah.
And so he sort of swept us all up And this was 1989 at first instance, 1990 in the Court of Appeal. So over that
Okay.
sort of year or so, that's how he pushed us all in. And by the time we all joined, he was actually the president of the European chapter.
Okay. Brilliant. So when were you president and where were your meetings?
I was president from 2004 to '06.
Hmm.
My meetings were in Brussels and Shanghai.
Fantastic. And tell me, share with us some particular highlights from your presidency.
Uh, I think chaos is probably the word that covers it best. I came at a particularly difficult time for the academy.
Uh-huh.
There were, for various reasons, we suddenly found ourselves without an executive director, uh, and without access to any of the files of the executive director, without access to any of the finances of the academy. And so I ended up putting on two meetings for which there was zero funding. And I actually had to put up about a quarter of a million US dollars to cover the two meetings and was gradually paid off by installments. I think the last installment about 6 months after I left office. So because without that, that's the only real means,
There
as you
was
know,
no,
of bringing
yeah,
funds in. And there was
yes,
nothing there. The meetings, the several meetings before mine, the couple of meetings before mine had been considerably loss making.
yeah.
And so even without that, we couldn't, although we were getting funds in for the thing, we had no access to the accounts, we had no access to the means of dealing with it.
That was
So
tough.
it was a matter of the president putting up the funds or there'd be no conferences. So you get through these things, but it was difficult, certainly.
Hardcore, as they say.
Yeah, very much.
Well, thank you very much in retrospect for doing that because the rest of us are here as a result of it. So thank you very
Well,
much.
Cheryl faced a similar situation
In
when she
Buenos
was in
Aires.
office as well. Yeah, but in leading up to those meetings, so
Yeah.
it's not a new problem, but
Yeah.
there it is.
Well,
So,
having been involved in a transition from one executive director to a new executive director 4 years ago, I'm glad we were able to transition smoothly. So we
yeah,
were.
absolutely, absolutely.
So tell me, if you were pitching our organization to new fellows, what are the three reasons you would give for joining?
Well, learning and knowledge and exchange of information obviously is a huge thing. There's the camaraderie that you build up in an organization. And the academy at the moment is not so large that you're not able to know people. Although I have to say, at the recent Asia Pacific chapter in Hong Kong, I walked around seeing huge numbers of new faces that I
Hmm.
didn't know at all. But that's my fault for not having been at meetings for quite a number of years.
To be fair, I think you've been busy with your looking after your mother.
Yeah, well, I have a very elderly mother
Yeah.
who is actually a former Academy groupie, if you like. She used to come along to
I
most of the
understand
meetings.
that.
Yes, so that sort of takes a lot of my time as well. But
Yeah.
I haven't been seriously to meetings since David Salter's meeting in Harrogate in 2012.
Yeah.
Although I did get to Nancy Berg's one in Tokyo because that was sort of up the
Not
road
too
as well.
far.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, how lovely for you to be able to see the academy, you continuing to grow and flourish.
Well, it's
At
grown
home.
tremendously. It was I was the first president that did not come from either the American or the European chapter. And
Yeah.
until then, it had been the practice to alternate between the two chapters. So
Yes.
I came from that small group who were known as ROWs, the rest of the
Yes.
world.
Rest of the world, exactly.
And so there was myself, and then two presidents after me came Ian Kennedy, who
Yes.
continues to be a very fervent and
Yes.
enthusiastic member of the Academy.
Yes.
So that was groundbreaking as well.
Yeah.
And indeed, I
Amazing.
remember in Shanghai, Richard Barry, who was a much earlier president, said, because Shanghai coincided with the 20th anniversary of the Academy, and
Right.
now
Okay.
we're almost double that because I think it'll be 40 years next year.
Exactly.
And at 20 years, he said, when we started this in 1986, he said we thought it was a big deal to get to London and Paris. And he said now in succeeding years, we're in China, Russia, and Africa.
Yeah.
Because mine was Shanghai, the next one was St. Petersburg, and the one after that was, I think, Cape Town.
Okay.
So,
Was that
having
Doncaster?
moved outside that small
Yeah.
sphere, suddenly it was really international.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was amazing. My first meeting was in Strasbourg, William Longrigg's meeting in 2011.
Well, I
So,
share that with you. My first meeting was also in Salzburg in
uh,
1993,
excellent
as it was also Ian Kennedy's first meeting.
first meeting.
Actually, he and
Brilliant.
I had known each other for decades before that, but we
Yeah.
suddenly it happened to turn up at the first meeting.
Brilliant. So what from your point of view should the IFL be concentrating on? Anything in particular?
I think it's doing quite well, but I think it maybe needs to look more at the emerging important items of the day, things like AI and crypto and all these kind of things, which at the moment most people don't know very much about.
You
But
will
I can
be
be,
delighted to know that there is a crypto education section in the program in Barcelona coming up.
and you wonder how crypto is going to affect financial arrangements in due
No, I
course,
know.
particularly those with a forward-looking payment system. I mean, how is
No,
crypto going to develop, and how do practitioners advise on something that nobody
no.
even knows about?
Well, and also that can be worth, £100 today and then £1 tomorrow and then £200 the next day. It's so volatile.
And
No.
zero the next.
And zero the next day, exactly. I know.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that's amazing. Jackie, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. Now that you're not working, do you want to tell those of us who still got a few years to go what you're doing with your time, how you're enjoying spending your time?
Well, I read a lot. I write a bit sometimes for other bodies, something that sort of thing. And I run the home, look after an very elderly mother. I am, as you will have seen, now afflicted quite badly by rheumatoid arthritis, which has limited my
Tough.
mobility a lot,
Mm,
which means I don't get to meetings as frequently as I would like.
mm,
But having spent 20 years running all over the world between the IBA and the Academy principally, and then things like Law Asia and
mm.
other bodies of that sort, Commonwealth lawyers and so on. It's almost a relief in a sense, because I used to do something like 3 or 4 long haul trips a year, which is very
A
difficult
lot.
at the bar,
Yeah, no, no, no,
particularly for the bar,
completely.
because there's nobody to pick it up. You're
No.
gone and everything stops.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to have a bit of peace, a little bit of quiet, and a bit
Yeah.
of time for myself.
Brilliant.
So,
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure everybody will be delighted to listen to this. Thank you.
thank you. Now, how do I turn us off?
No, hold on a second. I'm just going to